Before you type a single character, your Claude Opus session already has 24,000 tokens occupied. That's 12% of the context window gone, burned by MCP servers you loaded but aren't using today. Context is RAM with a per cycle tax. This video is about collecting that tax back. The context window is not infinite patience, it's a finite resource that degrades performance as it fills. There are exactly two levers: reduce what enters the window and delegate what can be handled elsewhere. Every context engineering technique maps to one of these two operations. The mistake most engineers make is treating context like disk space, cheap and unlimited. It's neither. Level 1 fix: stop loading MCP servers by default. Delete your default mcp.json when you need a server loaded explicitly. The command is claudemcp.config/specialized.json. With a focus config that loads only firecrawl, you go from 24,000 tokens pre-consumed to 6,000. That's 18,000 tokens you just reclaimed before writing a single line of code. Level 2, stop using CLAUDE.md as an infinite append-only log. The file grows forever. Engineers add one rule then another until it's 3,000 lines. The fix is to shrink the memory file to the absolute universal constants, 40-50 lines maximum, and replace everything else with context priming, a custom /command that reads exactly the files relevant to today's task. After running /prime with a spec file argument, the context window sits at 300 tokens. That's 92% free. Compare that to the bloated default 47,000 tokens consumed before a prompt was written. The prime command loaded exactly the context needed, the readme, the file tree, and the one spec for today's feature, and nothing else. Level 3 is delegation. Sub-agents get their own context windows. When you need to scrape 10 documentation URLs, don't do it in your primary agent. Spawn a sub-agent that fetches each URL, writes the output to disk, and exits. That's 40,000 tokens of web content that never entered your primary window. The sub-agent's context window is expendable. Yours is not. The fourth level, context bundles, chains sessions together after a window fills. The stop hook appends every tool call to a session log. When you restart, a /load bundle command replays the execution history into the new instance. You get 70% of the previous agent's understanding in under 3,000 tokens without rereading any of the files that were already processed. Here is what the evidence shows. Your turn, open a Claude Code session right now and type /context. Read the number, then delete your default mcp.json, restart, and read it again. The difference between those two numbers is what you've been paying on every session. After that, shrink your Claude.md to 50 lines or fewer. Run /context a third time. That number is your new baseline, and it should be under 5%.